Going on? Maybe it's another drill. Commence primary ignition.
For Midwest Guys presents Parsecs of the Force, a time for everything Star Wars.
There are stories about what happened.
It's true. All of it.
I have waited a long time for this moment.
I'm glad you're here to tell us these things.
This will be a day long remembered. I felt a great disturbance in the Force. We would be honored if you would join us. Punch it!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to For Midwest Guys presents Parsecs of the Force. I'm your host, B. Willie, and with me today is Mr. Brian Eckenbauer.
Hey, what's up? What's it going?
How's it going, B?
It's going good.
All right, let's talk some Star Wars, shall we? So our first topic today, we've got a special screen for you because we're going to look at some trading cards. So give me a second here to switch things over. And it's a badass transition, isn't it?
It's fantastic.
Isn't it awesome?
Mm-hmm.
I got a little work to do on it, but it's coming along, man. So, let me switch that. All right, so our first topic for today will be Denny's apparently is teaming with Lucasfilm and Topps and has released some solo Star Wars story trading cards.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so I thought we'd take a closer look at each one of them and just talk about it just a little bit and anything we might be able to gather from them, if anything. Obviously, our first card up is Mr. Han Solo himself.
Still holding his blaster. Although they have kind of cut it off down in the corner there. They've kind of like the Denny's rip-off kind of thing at the bottom there. It's kind of cut off, kind of hidden. But kind of looking like iconic, like Han Solo, maybe. With the, so stuff like that. Yeah. Good point, Brian. Thanks for texting me. There it is.
Here we go. All right. Sorry about that. All right. So let's. What do you think about Mr. Han Solo here, Brian?
Well, I like the design of the cards. They're kind of cool. I do the little card collector on my phone.
Yeah.
I like these. I like that design. I could deal without having Denny's on there, but obviously it's from Denny's, so they're going to put it on there.
Right, it's their promotion.
I'm curious, though, if on the back, they didn't show them, but I wonder if there's any kind of, like, description.
Oh, that would be kind of cool, like some stats or something. Or
I don't know about stats, but sometimes they'll put, like, especially on the Star Wars or any other movie cards, they'll put just a brief, like, description of the character or something like that. Or a quote.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that'd be kind of cool to see if there's anything behind it. But I think it looks okay. He almost looks like a cross between Han Solo and David Hasselhoff.
Yeah, we've been... I was bringing that up during the trailer. His hair is kind of Han Solo / the Hoff.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a cross between Han Solo, Hasselhoff, and Zac Efron.
Yeah. that's pretty much perfect. So I don't know, other than the jacket it kind of looks like something Han. It's kind of, he's got the holster, still, so
yep. And it's kind of hard to see because of the orange fade in it.
Yeah,
so you can tell it goes over his hand, but I'm not quite sure what color the jacket's supposed to be.
I'm thinking a rustic brown, but yeah, again, with the orange, you're right. It's kind of hard to tell for sure with black on it, I guess. So, kind of cool. Let's move on next. And obviously, next one would be Chewbacca. Kind of a side pose for Chewie.
It looks like he's like,
hey, what's going on? How you doing?
It looks like it's like one of those, like when they're doing modeling.
Yeah, that's what I was like.
Yeah,
hey, how's it going?
I know it's like now look over your shoulder and look naughty. Oh, me. Like, what?
I do like it though because you get to see his bowcaster on the back.
Is it his bowcaster or is it his gun?
I'm pretty sure it's the bowcaster. I don't know. I could be wrong. If it's not, I'll be a little disappointed.
Well, so here's what I think is going to happen.
Unless he gets the bowcaster during the movie.
I think that's what's going to happen during the movie. I think he's going to have a gun.
Okay.
And then he's going to be in a fight with somebody or something.
Yeah.
But he's really going to like the bowcaster, so he's going to take the bowcaster and leave his other little gun,
whatever that is, behind.
Yep. What do you think?
I like it. It's a good point. I like the idea. I have no problem with the origin of the bowcaster. In fact, I don't know if we see it or not in Episode 3, because that's the only other time we see Chewbacca before this in the timeline. So I don't know. I can't remember if he has that or has the bowcaster or not. So, but yeah, so very cool. Chewbacca, obviously a little bit younger looking Chewbacca. You can't see he's got the cross guard thing kicking. Mm-hmm. Can't really see that from this picture though. So, all right, next up is Lando's robot L337. He's kind of looking like Alpha here, like you pointed out during our teaser trailer breakdown.
It's a girl robot.
It is a female robot, yes. So, yeah, I don't know what. There's not much to really make out of this, or that we haven't seen already.
Nope.
Just kind of a cool card, I guess. Nothing too fancy to talk about there. Here's Kira. Now, this is interesting. So, we've seen her in a couple different outfits. Seen her kind of really dressed up in formal gear. This is more of a hanging out with Han, maybe. She's got her own holster. She's got her own gun.
Yep. Western.
Kind of a Western feel, yeah, almost Annie Oakley-esque looking for Kira there. I don't know. I'm really interested to see how she portrays this character, especially coming out of Game of Thrones, and if the character is anything like.
Nope, it won't be.
You think it's 100% different?
Because I think it's going to be one of those things where she's trying to get away from that character of Game of Thrones, so she's known for more than just that.
Right.
So I think it'll be completely different.
Yeah, I do too. But it will be interesting to see what this character is. Who is she? How she relate to Han? Are they kids? Are they friends as kids and meet back up again later? Are they, or is she just is she working with Lando at some point? What's going on here? Hard to say. So I've got a lot of questions I'd like to have answered about Kira, and we'll see what happens. Let's see. Next up. So here's Val again. We saw her in the teaser trailer as well, on the ice world, probably for the train heist. I would say she's probably on the good side. I guess she's probably a good guy, rather than an adversary. I don't know.
Well, we at least know she's with the team,
right? So she's some sort of maybe sharpshooter, I think is what we were trying to come up with. Anything we could come up with off the top of our head last time.
Yeah.
Here it looks like she's kind of got like a scarf around and some goggles. Maybe she's some kind of a pilot as well.
Could be.
Some sort of, but all these characters seem to have like a Western meets World War I, World War II era kind of a feel look to them, which is kind of interesting mess.
Well, it's very interesting considering that we wwent through all the prequels and how everything is real spacey.
Yeah, but and then the war happens, and then you're left with the crap left over.
Yeah,
so
and it's just
used
weird
universe.
Yeah, but even in the original trilogy, it just still felt more spaced than some of this stuff. So
well, we never, we didn't dive into it. We had Han, but we didn't really, and we had like the cantina, but outside of that, we didn't really have, and maybe Jabba the Hutt's palace.
Right.
That's about it as far as like the underworld of Star Wars. So it'll be interesting to see where we go and how they dive into that, and I'm sure they will in this movie. Next up, okay, obviously Lando himself, Donald Glover. It's funny, I was watching an episode of Atlanta last night just to see Donald Glover in it. Like, I have no idea what that show's about. It was messed up.
Yeah. You've never seen Atlanta?
No.
Have you ever seen Community?
I have not. I know. As a Star Wars fan, I should definitely see Community.
God, well, I mean, not even as a Star Wars, just as a fan of comedy. But Community was freaking hilarious. Joel McHale and oh my god.
Atlanta's a kind of a messed up show, but I got to see a little bit of Donald Glover acting, and from what I could see, I could definitely see him being Lando. He kind of has that swagger about him. Maybe not so much with that character, but I could see it. So here, though, Lando's got his cape. Obviously, a little bit different color, different outfit. it's not the blue, but he's wearing more of a yellow here. But still has that same swagger, a little bit different haircut, obviously. A younger, hipper version of Lando. Anything else you see there, Brian?
Not really.
No.
I mean, the cards really don't give away too much as far as like character-wise. So
right.
I mean, some of these other ones where we had to see new characters, which is what's coming up next. But
right.
Those are actually the cards that I liked. I liked when I saw them.
Yeah, the new aliens and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we got our first new Stormtrooper. I don't know where they've been keeping these Stormtroopers through the classic trilogy, but we have something called a Range Trooper. Maybe this is a trooper that they would fight on that ice world during that.
That's my guess.
Yeah, that train heist or something like that. Kind of like a snow trooper, but obviously, a little bit more. I don't know what the word would be. Tribal.
I would say primitive.
Primitive, yeah. Because he's got actual fur. This is the first time I think I've ever seen that.
Yeah, because it looks like at this point they were actually thinking about warmth for the soldier.
Yeah,
and that's why he's got like the fur on.
The fur instead of the practicality of So a nice different design there. As my phone rings.
Don't ever ring.
I know, right? Next up, so here we go, Brian. First look at a different alien. This is Argus Six Eyes Panox. So this is great creature, Star Wars creature kind of thing kicking here. I don't know. What do you think, Brian? What do you think he is?
A Sabbagh player.
You think so? He's one of the card players? Yeah. I didn't see him in the trailer, so I don't think he's a big time player.
No, I don't
necessarily.
Either. I just think he's a Sabbagh player. I think he's holding a thing of Sabbagh in his hand.
Okay, so like he's got cards hidden in his belt or something like that, or maybe
if that it's a belt.
Huh?
Is it if that's a belt?
If that's a belt. Okay, that makes sense. I think he could be part of the underworld of some kind, obviously. To what extent, I don't know. Again, kind of the heavy leather gear. Again, Western meets World War II pilot kind of look to it, I guess.
Yeah, and he's got the fur too, so I mean,
right.
It must be a cold planet.
I guess
we're gonna be on majority of the time because they've all got some kind of like heavy duty fur and stuff on. But the only reason why I think he's a Spock player is because he's got 6 eyes, and it looks like they all can go any direction, so he could watch all the players at the same time. There you go. Good point. I like that. I like that a lot, actually. So. It'll be interesting to see that. I like the look. I like anytime they introduce the new aliens and stuff. It's really cool to see and try to figure out what's that and all that stuff. The other kind of different kind of stormtrooper is a mud trooper. This one looks more like something out of World War II, like a Nazi. From like
the helmet,
gas mask,
the gas mask, the helmet. It's looks like
he's got a cape.
Yeah, he's even got a cape, kind of like Phasma does. So it's kind of interesting.
And he's got looks like he has the visor from the New Order.
Yes, actually, it pretty much is the visor from the New Order,
which is really weird because this happens way before.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's a forerunner. I don't know. It's definitely a different take on a stormtrooper. Again, nothing like what we're used to seeing in either obviously it's got First Order design in it, but nothing from the classic trilogy. So,
but the more troopers, the better.
Oh yeah, I think it's really cool that they're adding to the myth.
Well, the Stormtrooper is one of my favorite parts of Star Wars, anyway.
So it's just it just makes me wonder. Yeah, exactly. So now I gotta get a mud trooper and a range trooper. But it makes me wonder where they hide these guys. We just never went to a mud planet, I guess, and that's why we never saw them.
We were joking about it, and I said, well, maybe their planet blows up like they did on Rogue One, and that's why you don't see all the other troopers.
This is pre-Death Star. This is pre-Death Star, so there's no way possible that could be. I'm sorry. Yeah,
this is PDS? Pre-Death Star?
All right. Okay, here we go. We got... Boy, I think they ran out of alien names when they came to this guy. Therm. Scissor Punch. Okay. So, yeah, he's got claw hands.
And a lobster face. So he's a walking lobster, and they just decide to give him Scissor Punch for the name. It almost sounds like a gangster name, maybe, or I don't know, what would it be? Dick Tracy and right,
villain or something.
Yeah, one of those really
Therm
bad
scissor punch.
Yeah, one of those really bad one-off villains.
Yes, exactly.
But again, I think it's a whatchamacallit player.
Another card player.
Yeah.
I wonder if this guy is probably more in the background. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do with him. If they use him. I did see a scene where it looks like he's eating something, and he like spaghetti or something. He's like slurping it up through his mouth. So I don't know. It'll be see how big of a role he plays if he's just another background character or something. But it is cool. It's definitely different. So. I'm all about that. So here's another look at what we think is possibly the main bad guy in the movie. This is or bad girl in the movie. We'll get to that later. So this is ENFYS Nest.
Just the villain.
ENFYS.
Just the villain. It's the villain.
ENFYS or ENFYS. I haven't been able to figure out how they're pronouncing it yet. There's no
empty. You pronounce it empty.
Empty.
Empty nest.
Empty nest.
Too funny.
Too funny. Yeah, so ENFYS or ENFYS Nest.
I think it's ENFYS.
It could be ENFYS. ENFYS Nest. That would. There you go. That's probably it. So here we get a little bit different. She's got some sort of, in addition to that lightsaber axe, she's got the fur, but this time it looks like around her arms is some sort of. It almost looks Native American in a way, around like the big sprawl looking thing, like feathers almost coming off of her, the tops of her wrists there and fading back. The more I see about this character, the more I like the design anyway. I think it's pretty damn cool looking.
Yeah. I'm gonna wait to watch it in the movie. I'm not a big fan of this. I like when the villains are like very clean lined.
Yeah, you don't like the dirty. Kind of tribal.
Not really. I'm not. But I've never been that big of a Cowboys and Indians fan either.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like
This
kind of reminds me of the Native American-esque type. I've never been a fan of their big feathers and everything else. So
I don't know. To me, it looks like a badass bounty hunter. I mean, it's just different. It's a different take on it. I mean, in the actual movie, it looks a little bit more Darth Vader-esque, I guess. But this is obviously, I guess, the full costume or whatever. But so it looks a lot different, especially with the feather-looking things coming off there and whatnot, and the rest of her garb towards the bottom. So yeah. So I don't know. Interesting. Anyway, let's see. Like I said, I liked it. Like seeing her in action. I thought it was pretty cool. So in the teaser trailer. All right, and our last card here is Moloch. Could be that simple. Not sure what to make of this one. Looks like she has some sort of a staff. It's kind of hard to see because of the orange. Holding some sort of a staff of some kind. Looks like something we've seen maybe in The Force Awakens, like one of those scavengers on Jakku.
Mm-hmm. That's what I thought when I saw this.
Yeah.
Not that it was a scavenger, but it was actually whoever's going to buy whatever they're trying to steal.
Could be. That's a great point, great possibility. Obviously has some breathing apparatus. Maybe this. I wonder if this is some sort of like a bug alien. Like,
well, it looks like it because it looks like it has an ant. Looks almost like an ant head.
Ant head to it or something.
Like with the little pinchers.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. The antennae there or whatever coming off. I didn't see that before. Yeah. So yeah, maybe that's how it breathes or whatever in a normal atmosphere or something. I don't know. Yeah, but it's kind of cool looking, kind of different. I imagine. It kind of has the feel of something old though. It's not like it's young or anything. It's kind of like an older person or older alien of some kind. So, all right. So that's a closer look at all the Denny's Star Wars solar trading cards that they've released so far. Anyway, I don't know if there's more or not. But you're going to be able to get these, I guess, in packs, I guess, at Denny's.
I'm sure it comes with a kid's meal.
And I didn't grab the picture of it, but there is like a cup, and there's like a...
It's a kid's cup.
Yeah, it's a kid's cup, and there's a Falcon on top of the cup.
Millennium Falcon on top, and the straw comes with the Falcon.
So, yeah, nice little kids meal.
It's
probably
what they used to do with McDonald's, so...
Right. So yeah. So we'll switch back to the main screen here real quick, and so you get a better look at us. Hey, and we'll proceed on with the show. Brian trying his best Jedi mind trick there, I guess. All right, so our next topic. So I guess Simon Pegg's at it again, and I'm not a big fan of Simon Pegg.
I am.
He drives me nuts.
I liked him in Star Trek.
I like him in Star Trek. I like him as Scotty. But he's also a huge Star Wars fan, has been a big critic of Star Wars over the years. Mm-hmm. That's my main problem with him. He's a real big prequel hater. That's where me and him have a lot of differences over the years. But Mr. Pegg did have an interesting comment. I guess on I guess the podcast Happy Sad. He said, I know what JJ kind of intended, or at least was being chucked around. I think that's kind of been undone slightly by the last one. There was some talk of a relevant lineage for her. So obviously what we're talking about here is Abrams apparently had a different parentage in mind when it came to Rey, the character of Rey, than what we found out in Last Jedi. And obviously in Last Jedi, her parents were nobody. That's what we were told anyway. So this pretty much contradicts everything Last Jedi tells us. So it begs the question, because Abrams now has Episode 9, will he now use the parents or nothing thing as simply as a lie by Kylo Ren, and try to set things right again, right?
I think he will. I think what they're going to do is that's going to be the twist. And when you watch all three together, you're going to be like, they really thought they had us there on that one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I really think is going to happen. Because when it first came out, Daisy said, we already knew who her parents were.
From the first one.
From the first one.
Yeah, from Force Awakens, yeah.
And then she's like, oh, the more I watch it, you guys don't know.
Mm.
And then they came out with this stupid thing like, oh, well, her parents are nobodies. No.
Yeah. And then they had Daisy. They even had Daisy back that up, I think, in Rolling Stone. Said, that what I saw, that in Last Jedi, that's what I was told from the beginning. So there's a lot of retcon going on there, if you ask me.
Yep.
But yeah, it's interesting. So this basically reopens the whole can of worms of who is Rey's parents again, and the debate is basically back open as far as I'm concerned. Because if Abrams had something in mind, and Rian Johnson basically threw it to the side, I don't see any reason why he can't throw Rian Johnson to the side and
put it how he wants. That's what's going to happen, because he's going to say it was all a lie.
Yeah.
About her parents, not so much everything that happened in Last Jedi, but just about the parents, and that he was just trying to convince her otherwise to try to join him.
Right.
Because like I said before, when we saw it, that's 100% what I thought. When we saw it, I'm like, oh, he's just lying to her.
Yeah, I did too.
He's just lying to her.
Because he's playing on her fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. He tells it as her weakness.
He's just lying to her.
Yeah.
But when we talked about it, everybody else are like, oh no, he said clearly he said that. So that's like, why all of a sudden do we believe in the bad guy?
Yeah.
When in any story have we ever just believed the bad guy and just been like, okay, that's what he said?
Well, like I said, I think we've talked about this before, but the Sith have ways of telling the truth, their version of the truth anyway, in order to get what they want. But in this case, I do think he's lying, and even if Rian Johnson did not intend for him to lie, I don't see why Abrams wouldn't retcon it back the way he wants it.
Yeah, there's no reason not to.
Right. And I think it's what the fans want. I think it's what the fans are looking for.
Yep.
We're looking for some sort of a connection. I think there is no redemption for Kylo Ren, aka Ben Skywalker, and I don't like leaving the Skywalkers in darkness. That doesn't sit well with me. I know it doesn't sit well with a lot of fans at this point. And even if they do redeem Ben, I don't see how or why. I wouldn't like it, to be honest. So, I'd like to see Rey be a Skywalker or a Solo or whatever. Still part of the line. Or even a Kenobi, I would be fine with that. So, but we've talked that one to death already, so we'll move on.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so next up. So apparently Solo, a Star Wars story, will be making its debut at the France at the Cannes Film Festival. This is not the first time that a Star Wars movie has debuted at the Cannes Film Festival. Revenge of the Sith as well as Attack of the Clones both made their debut. And I must note that this is not in competition, by the way, in the films at Cannes. This is just being premiered there. So it's not, in the running with all the other independent films or anything like that. Couple other notes to make out of this before we talk about it. George Lucas also debuted his THX 1138 there. And that's where the first time George started talking about some sort of a space opera thing in his head. And so some people refer to Cannes as the birthplace of Star Wars. I don't know. This is kind of an interesting move by Disney, especially if Disney thinks that this movie is, well, crap, or they think it's not going to do well, to put it up against the critics out there with, the creme de la creme of critics, so to speak, and at an independent film festival. I don't know. It's an interesting move by them. Because usually, they do these things in Los Angeles, and
it really is kind of irritating that you have a movie like this. It's going to get screened in France.
Yeah, 10 days too, by the way, before it releases.
And all that does is it's going to put out the spoilers before it happens.
Yeah.
Because people are going to talk, and they're not even going to mean to, but they're going to say something, and then that person's going to say something else, and all of a sudden it gets on the internet, and it's going to go on some random blog, Han Solo dies, or whatever it is, and it's just going to get out there real fast.
Yeah.
Especially 10 days. I can see if it was like 2 days prior, or a day prior, or whatever,
sure.
But even when you put the embargo on there,
it still
gets out.
I don't even see how Disney can keep a lid on the embargo. It's an independent film festival. People are going to see it. Regular people are going to see it. Beyond the critics are going to see it 10 days ahead of time. So, I don't know. To me, if you're going to do this, it's like they're almost banking that people are going to like it. We've been hearing nothing but the counter of late that
I think
people are not going to like it.
I think people are going to like it. It's supposed to open to over 150 million.
Yeah. So, I don't know. To me, I'm beginning to think, and we talked about this online yesterday, Brian, and I'm beginning to think we're being played. I think Disney has purposely downplayed the expectations of this movie so that you are pleasantly surprised by what we see. And maybe I'm just being hopeful and wishful thinking here, but it's starting to feel that way to me.
Well, I think it'd be beneficial for them because they know the money comes not just in opening weekend, but in longevity of stuff. So by downplaying it, they knew they were going to get their 150 opening weekend guaranteed because it's a Star Wars movie.
Right.
But by downplaying it, everybody that goes into it and they're like, oh, it wasn't that bad, I would recommend go seeing it to somebody else, as opposed to having their hopes up and they go in and they said, it wasn't as good as what I thought,
like
and then people
Last
don't
Jedi.
go see it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like that's the way we've been marketed. I think they've slipped some things online, and I think we're being played. I hope I'm right on that, just because I really want this movie to do well. I want the adventure back in Star Wars though too. So we'll see what happens as the birds chirp as well.
Okay. Like what the heck?
I don't know what's going on today.
Was your sound effect board going off?
I guess so.
Phone ring. Phone ring.
All right. Next topic. So it's apparently been released that this has gotten out anyway.
Are they literally like right out the window?
Yeah, they're literally hanging out on the. There's a window behind here, by the way, and they're probably just chirping away. Anyway, so there you go. Way to take care of it, B.
No problem.
All right. So topic 4. Lucasfilm has digital clones of your favorite Star Wars characters.
Stop.
Nice job.
Oh, no, they're there.
Oh, okay. All right. So apparently, Ben Morris, who is the visual effects supervisor on Star Wars: The Last Jedi, told ENFYS, "We will always digitally scan all the lead actors in the film. We don't know if they're going to need them. We don't intentionally scan them as an archive. Process. It's for a reference later." Now, that being said, that does mean, though, that they do exist. And that does mean that they could be used if they wanted to. That means that if that's the case, because we know that Carrie Fisher was in The Last Jedi, then that means she was digitally scanned. This now lends another more credence to the fact that if they wanted to, they could CGI Carrie Fisher into Episode 9. Because they already have it.
They just scanned her. It doesn't mean that they video captured her, right?
Well, I don't know. It sounds like they scan her whole face, so they've got the data to start with. I mean, that they didn't even have that when they did Tarkin with Peter.
Yeah,
I can't remember the actor's name now.
Yep.
It's horrible. But yeah, so I mean, they're one step ahead. They're that much closer.
Oh, we know they're close.
Yeah.
Whether or not they should or not is another story.
Right. That's remains a topic for debate, but I don't know. You know, this is just further evidence, though, that it exists, and not only does it apparently exist for Leia, Luke now as well, Han now as well. You know, what if we're at episode, I don't know, 15, and Mark Hamill is long since gone, and they want to put a Force Ghost in, maybe not very long, maybe a couple minutes of Luke Force Ghost talking. You know, as long as they have Hamill's blessing or his family's blessing, you know, now it's very possible. What do you think about the possibility of bringing actors back from the dead and using them
I don't
down
know.
the
That's
line?
a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Because then what if you get into the actors today aren't as good as they were back then, so we're just going to use the actors from back then.
Yeah, not to give somebody their big break.
Yep.
I agree with that, except in this case, it's, you know, you're trying to bring back, you're trying to use, you know, why would you recast an old Luke Skywalker if you already have him digitally? You know, it's just saying. Brings up, I'm more in favor of it, and the more I think about it, the more I'm kind of like the idea. I know it's a moral thing.
Oh no, we're on opposite sides of that one.
I know.
But that's okay.
So, but it does. I mean, it's very possible. So, you know, why not? I say why not? I am all for putting CGI Leia back into 9, even though they said they're not going to do it.
Nope.
So I am.
It's gone.
Behind it. 100% behind it.
I don't want
especially
a digital.
now with this.
I don't want a digital, and I don't want a Meryl Streep.
I don't want a Meryl Streep.
So, blah.
I don't want to recast. I want a CGI. I'm fine with CGI. As long as Carrie's daughter's okay with it, I'm cool with it. That's all I need.
She's not.
You don't know that.
It's true, I don't know that.
So, all right. Up next. And the final topic for the day is... So there's some new details that slipped online about... how'd you pronounce it?
ENFYS?
ENFYS Nest. On JediNews.net, they reported from a tweet from a Thomas Storrell, who revealed a key element for a new character. ENFYS Nest is apparently female.
From a French trading card.
Yep.
See? On the back.
I
told you.
Yep.
The back of the card to say stuff.
So apparently the tweet contains a photo of a French trading card, and when you translate it, it says, how do you say it again?
ENFYS.
ENFYS, thank you.
Like if you're putting the emphasis.
Emphasis, okay.
So ENFYS.
ENFYS Nest, an extremely dangerous marauder, has quickly forged an infamous reputation for herself, as well as her gang of pirates, the Cloud Riders. So
we already knew the Cloud Riders.
We'd heard that before. So yeah, so
she's infamous.
She's infamous.
So that means she's really famous.
Look up here. So yeah, so ENFYS Nest is apparently a female, and the name of that gang that we see on that beach, is probably around her, is the Cloud Riders.
The Rainbow Cloud Riders.
Oh boy. Yeah, the Cloud Riders would not be my first name for them, but
or my second.
I'd have to go back and look.
Or my third.
Something tells me that's pulled from the EU. I have to go back and look that up now that I think about it.
Well,
it just popped in my head.
I'm thinking that it's the Cloud Riders because they wanted to tie it into how Lando gets his city, the Cloud City.
Oh, and that's how he's why he names it Cloud City. Okay. I could see that. So something to do with the Cloud Riders. Maybe that's Lando's gang. Maybe even.
Or it could be their gang, or it could be their home base was Cloud City.
And they're the Cloud Riders.
They're the Cloud Riders from Cloud City, and they beat them, and then Lando takes that city. Because didn't he say it used to be all mining, blah, 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 blah?
Yeah, he said, Lando must have conned it from somebody.
See? So it could be the Cloud Riders from Cloud City. Ba-dum-cha!
Look at that.
Brilliant!
Oh, what about this then? I'll take it one step further. What if ENFYS is actually Kira?
Could be.
That would be interesting.
Could
twist.
be.
Like that's her dual personality kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So and maybe what if it's Lando versus Han at first? Maybe they're not friends yet.
Maybe they're not on the same team.
Yeah. Maybe they're on opposite ends. That's interesting. Now we're getting somewhere. Now we're speculating like crazy, but it's possible. Very, very, very possible. All right. So before we go, that concludes our topics for the night. But before we go, we put out a question last week to you, and our question was, after seeing The Last Jedi, do you believe that Rian Johnson should still get his own trilogy? So basically, after seeing The Last Jedi, do you believe that he should still get his own trilogy as Star Wars has already given him that? Do you think he still deserves it, essentially? Was the question, and we did get some feedback. I put it out mostly on Facebook and Facebook group, Star Wars group I'm a part of.
Oh, look, it's the Galactic Senate.
It is the Galactic Senate.
Very good job on graphics.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. So our first comment came from Mr. Ryan Wagner. And Ryan says, yes, The Last Jedi was the strongest film since Empire, in my opinion. So, a big-time Last Jedi supporter. Hey, I'm cool with that. I've said, as time progresses, I think more and more people are going to come over to the side of The Last Jedi.
The strongest film since Empire?
It's pretty...
So
when you think about it, in a grand scheme, yeah.
So Empire came out. And then Return of the Jedi came out.
Yeah.
And then the prequels came out.
Yeah.
And then Rogue One, and then Force Awakens, and then Last Jedi. And Last Jedi was the strongest one since Empire? Get the fuck out of here.
I don't know.
Get the fuck out of here. Nope.
Since he's now saying Last Jedi, he's comparing it to Empire. I agree with him.
No. Not even close. I don't even think Empire was the best Star Wars film to date.
Oh, I do.
It was Jedi.
Empire is.
It was Return of the Jedi.
Empire beats Jedi.
Nope.
Yep.
Not even close.
Totally beats.
Not even close.
Totally. Empire is way better than Jedi.
Nope.
Dude, I'm not having this discussion with you. Anyway.
Not even close.
Because I don't want to tread all over Jedi, because I know a lot of people like Jedi, but...
Yeah, because it's better.
No, it's not.
It's way better.
We're going to blow up the Death Star. Again.
So?
The Ewoks are going to conquer the Empire.
We're also on a planet that you can actually physically be at on Earth. And actually pretend that you're going to be there. So as a kid, and you're watching it, as opposed to trying to pretend like you're in space, but you're outside. You can actually pretend like you're on Endor.
What's cool about it? You got Cloud City. Come on.
What?
Cloud City's awesome. We used to pretend we were on Cloud City all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Where were you pretending you were in Cloud City? What cloud were you in?
Front yard.
See? Front yard.
We'd walk across bridges.
With what? With trees. Front yard with trees.
Oh,
so what does Endor have? Trees?
No.
See?
No.
It's perfect for a kid.
No. They retreaded everything in Jedi.
Now, which had a deeper meaning? I would say Empire had a deeper meaning. No. But I liked it. I like Return of the Jedi.
You like Jedi better. Mm-hmm. All right, there you go. I like Empire.
How do you not like the throne room either?
The throne room's cool. Mm-hmm. I didn't say it wasn't all bad. I'm just saying.
You just didn't like it because Vader died.
No, I had nothing to do with it.
Why'd you like Empire, Brian?
Huh? Because you find out that he's his father. It's a huge reveal.
So your first thing is Vader?
Huh?
Okay, keep going.
Of course it's Vader. Why wouldn't it be Vader?
I'm just messing with you. Go ahead.
Anyway, next up, Oz Vander said, garbage movie. Don't care if he gets one. I won't support it. So a little bit on the opposite end of things. My only thing to you, Oz, is will you really not see it? I mean, it could be somebody counting matches, and I would, as long as they have Star Wars in front of it, I would at least see it once.
I completely agree with you. Like I was thinking the same thing. Like,
but I understand. That he's got it's a big divide on this one.
Like I was thinking the same thing. I don't know if I wouldn't go as far as saying it was a garbage movie because I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And to not care if he gets one, you won't support it. Does not supporting it mean you'll go to see it once? Because you'll go see crap movies at least once. Sometimes you'll go see crap movies because you won't know what it's about. Go see a crap movie, and you're like, oh, that was crap. I don't want to watch it again. Technically, you supported that movie, but you don't like it.
Right.
So even if he puts out Rian Johnson's whatever,
yeah,
you'll go at least see it once.
Yeah.
And be like, wow, that was crap. Right? So your $12 or $13 or whatever it is, you've supported that movie.
Right.
So I really have a hard time believing that statement.
Yeah, I do too. But I understand,
especially somebody you put this in a Star Wars fan group. So if he's a Star Wars fan, how is he not going to watch 8? I mean, this doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, I just think it's. All I'm saying is, I don't want to sit here and make fun of these people, but the thing is,
no, I'm making fun of them. I'm just counterpoint.
But yeah, I think he'd want to see it, but maybe he doesn't. Maybe he sticks hard to his guns. Maybe he's like that. And if he does, more power.
Good for him. Way to stick to your guns.
Exactly. All right. Next up, Kevin Dillard says absolutely not. His film sucked bad enough that he doesn't deserve another shot. And he damn sure doesn't deserve a trilogy series. All right, that pretty much sums up a lot of feelings online that I've seen. And even some of my friends who are Star Wars fans kind of feel the same way. And I think that kind of reflects the whole, why did they even announce that he was getting a trilogy before Last Jedi even came out? That's the other thing. I thought that was kind of jumping the ship.
Yeah, I really thought that was jumping the ship. Like, I can see them saying he's going to get another movie.
Right.
And then they see how that one does.
Yeah.
And then then once it does good, then say, okay, this is actually part of a trilogy that we've been working on.
Right, the whole time. Yeah.
Right? Instead they go, he's going to no trilogy. It's like, what?
Yeah.
So in his new trilogy, you're going to have nobodies who are relatives of nobodies who do nothing and have no business with the rest of the universe. Because that's the way he is. Yeah. And everyone has the Force.
Well, back in the day, that's how it used to be, or at least that's what people used to think. But yeah, I hear you. All right. Benjamin Moorcroft says, absolutely, The Last Jedi delivered exactly what people wanted by the space load. Well, he says spade load, but I'm assuming he means space load.
No, spade load is a shovel.
Space load. All right. Spade load? Okay.
It's a shovel.
All right, we'll go with spade load. All right. So, and then I like his next line I really like. People just seem to have forgotten what it is they were asking for. That's a great point, because if you go back before Last Jedi was released, what was the one complaint that everybody had about The Force Awakens?
Han Solo died.
Other than Han Solo died. It's too much like the other movies. It's a retread. It's just a remake. They're doing the same thing they did in Star Wars. Blah, 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 blah. We want something different. I want something different. I want it to be something different. That's all you heard. So they got exactly what they asked for. And now, it's. I feel like Star Wars fans lately are kind of like, I don't know, what's her name? With the three bears, Goldilocks three bears. Oh, it's too hot. It's too cold. It's too rough. Too hot. It's a great point though. Before all this came down, that's exactly what the line was out there that the people were towing.
Well, you gotta think it was also what you've done now is you went one way and then went the other way, because when the first one came out, you had those who were like, that was a great movie. Mm-hmm. I like the symbolism. They did the nods to the originals and blah 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 blah. I really love the movie. And then you had the ones that were like, that was too much like the original. There was blah 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 blah. Right.
Right.
So this one comes out, and I think all he did was just flip the bitchers.
Yes.
And the ones that were bitching, saying that it was too much like the original, like, oh, this is great, this is fantastic. And the ones that were like, I really like the nods of this one, are like, well, that was crap. You know what I mean? So all you did was flip the bitchers.
I think you flipped them, but I think you had people, the same bitchers, bitching again, too.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean, there was some people that will just complain about stuff just to complain about stuff.
Right.
I mean, some people just complain about Cincinnati sports all the time.
I'm not going to name any names. I know who you're talking about.
I'm not naming anybody in particular. Some people just bitch all the time about Marvin Lewis and the Bengals and the Reds.
Okay. All right. Before we turn this into a Cincinnati sports podcast, next up, Andy Peachy. He agrees. He thinks for sure. I can't wait to see what he does with a story that's full of his own. So that's a good point too. So yeah, it'll be a bunch of nobodies that we won't really know, but these will be his characters. He won't be taking on any legacy characters this time around.
Well, not that we know of.
Right.
Like, it could be still one of those ones where it touches on Maz. You know what I mean? Like, it touches on somebody who we knew from somewhere else. You know what I mean? Some one of those kind of things. And
Yeah.
and when he's in a story that's fully his own, that's fine. But are the characters that we're going to get involved with in his first one going to be there through the whole thing? Or is it going to be, this was just a story of nobodies, and the next one's going to be completely different, and the next one's going to be completely different?
I think they'll all be connected this time, but
I hope so.
They'll be his characters.
Because I think that's the reason. That's the reason why we didn't care for it as much, is because we didn't feel like
it was connected.
It was connected.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that if they're giving him a whole trilogy, that whatever characters he establishes will be the same characters throughout. Now, some people may die, some may, one here, one there, but I don't think each movie is going to be like a standalone kind of thing now, or anything of that nature. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he does with a universe, even though he's still playing in the Star Wars sandbox, that these will be his toys. There won't be, he won't be dealing with Luke Skywalkers, he won't be dealing with Leia or Han or Admiral Akbar, for that matter, even. So he'll have his own. It'll be his thing. So,
do you think he'll have Jedi?
It depends on where he wants to go with it. I think you can have Jedi-less Star Wars movies, but
I don't think you can.
I think you can.
How do you have a Star Wars movie without a lightsaber?
You can. Rogue One, they just added it in at the end. It was pretty much lightsaber-less until Vader goes crazy at the end, which is a great part of the movie, don't get me wrong, but he didn't have to be there.
Right, but why wouldn't... I don't know. I don't think you can do it.
I don't know.
I don't think you can do a lightsaber-less...
I think it would be a travesty if they don't touch on the Force, they don't touch on the Jedi, or they don't touch on the Sith, or some version of light and dark. I think that if you go away from that, then you're I don't know, it's not really, I agree with you, it's not really Star Wars then. Alright, so Daniel O'Connor, he says, yes, I think having control of new characters and story will be good for him. I didn't like what he did with the original characters in The Last Jedi, but he made an excellent movie. He is a great director and deserves what he gets. So pretty much the same, little bit more in depth on what Andy said. With his own toys, with his own, he might do better. He might do better than he did with legacy characters per se. So pretty much the same thing. Okay, Sean has an opposite view. Not a chance. I will have to be paid to watch anything with his name on it in the future. It's crazy to me that he's even given a trilogy when Filoni has such a great track record. He just seems a more sensible pick. Okay.
Well, Sean, I don't think that Filoni has a better track record because he's not doing a movie. He's been doing cartoons. Yes, his story connection is way better.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think we don't know how he can direct actual people
yet.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he has a better track record because it's kind of comparing apples to oranges
at the moment. Yeah.
Yep.
But again, I think he also speaks though to them just kind of handing the keys of a trilogy over to Rian Johnson before we even saw any results from The Last Jedi. They just simply went on their own screenings without really testing the fans and seeing what the fans had to say. All right, one more comment here real quick, and that would be Mark Rushwall. He simply says hell no. Yeah, he just doesn't get the feel of what Star Wars is. He can put his SJW, which I believe is social justice warrior, I'm going to go out on a limb on that one, views towards another Ghostbuster movie or something and further destroy that brand but leave Star Wars alone. I don't know. What do you think, Brian? Do you think Rian Johnson's a social justice warrior? I'm pretty sure that's what SJW is.
It is. That's what it is.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess maybe he is a little bit, now that I think about it.
I think that's the way Hollywood's been moving.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yes, I think he kind of is, but at the same point, I can see some of the issues that they have with it. Yeah. Although I don't think it needs to be as much as like some of the stuff we've seen with like you have to have X amount of people that are African American or X amount of people who are minority, or I don't know if it has to go that far.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do like to see a bigger inclusion of females or African Americans in the movies.
Right.
Not so much to the point where you're seeing other people get kicked out because of they're not.
Right. Instead of going after the best person for the job. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more there. Good point, Mark. Actually, good point by everybody here. Whether we agreed with them or not, we do appreciate you taking the time and reaching out and responding to us and being part of the conversation and bringing up good points of the conversation, because I think, if we could just all sit down and actually talk to each other rationally and kindly, I think the world would be a lot better place. So thanks for helping our Star Wars conversation be that much better. And right, Brian?
Oh, I agree. Thanks for the feedback. It's always nice to hear other opinions and get us to other kind of topics to talk about.
Yeah, it's really nice to that you guys took the time and to actually that you gave us your time, your attention, and your opinion, and we appreciate and we value each one of them. And again, a big thanks to Ryan, to Oz, to Kevin, to Benjamin, to Sean, to Daniel, to Mark, and to Andy for reaching back out to us this week. So, and on that note, we go from last week's Senate question. So this week's Galactic Senate point of debate later tonight. So this is going into the future a little bit. This question is based on, now that you have seen the full Solo trailer, are you excited to see the movie? Again, now that you've seen the full Solo trailer, are you excited to see the whole movie? And again, you can reach back out. I'll put this back out on Facebook again, and you can reach us there. You can reach us by hashtagging the number 4 MWG, which stands for 4 Midwest Guys, on Twitter as well. So interact with us again. This is the last one. It was a great discussion. We had 8 comments. That was amazing. I would like to get 10 this time if we can.
More the merrier.
More the merrier, exactly. So reach out to us. One more thing. Where can you find 4 Midwest Guys? You can find us. The best place to go is www.4midwestguys.com. There you can find links to our YouTube, to our iTunes, to our Twitter, to our Facebook. You can follow, like, and subscribe.
To our Stardust.
I need to put the link up for that as well. If you're on Stardust, Brian, why don't you tell them a little bit about Stardust?
Stardust is your 3 to 30 second review of something that you've just seen, like a TV episode or a movie or topic of any kind. It allows you to get your voice heard fairly quick without going into too much detail. It does allow you to put spoiler alerts on there. So, I mean, there's a button to push that says, does this review include spoilers? But I saw you put up a couple. I put up a couple. Yep. So, I mean, get on there, take a look. Like I said, if you want to tag myself or Brian, yep. We can possibly get you onto one of our podcasts, put up your Stardust.
Yeah, put your video up. And
yep.
Yeah, I'd love to put it up online. Put it on the show. But if you're on Twitter, you can follow us at 4midwestguys.com. You can follow Brian on Twitter and Stardust at AngZone. You can follow me on Twitter and Stardust at BWillie1977. And Brian, you also have an Instagram account for us?
Yeah, Instagram is at @the_real_Ank.
And that's basically like behind the scenes kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So all kinds of ways.
You put one up too, didn't you?
Huh?
Did you put up with Instagram?
I'm still working on that. It's not official yet.
Oh, it's not official. Sorry.
Not official yet. We're working on it. So right now, but go to the Brian's Instagram if you want to see some behind the scenes stuff, some really cool stuff that goes on there, some goofy stuff too. So, what are you doing?
It's the Wheel of Fate.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it for us for this week. Brian, thanks for joining us. As always.
Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. And this is B. Willie saying, "May the Force be with you always."
Peace.